Welcome to my channel. My name is Julian. For the past number of years, I've been a sailing instructor and a coach development learning facilitator in the province of Ontario. That means that I work with sailors, coaches, and instructors to improve sailing skills, technical instruction, and on-water coaching skills across the province. If you're familiar with some of the older videos on my channel, you'll notice that this video is a bit different. That's because I made this presentation as part of a webinar in the spring of 2020 that we delivered to new coaches in Ontario. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to give this presentation, so I'm recording it now so that it doesn't go to waste. The topic of our conversation today is the racing rules of sailing. Before we start, I'll give you a little background on what the racing rules are. So the racing rules come in a book or a PDF document that's published on a 4-year rotation by World Sailing. They apply to all organized sailing races, including windsurfing and remote control sailing, and equally, they apply from club level events all the way up to the Olympic sailing. You can buy a copy of the rulebook in Canada from Sail Canada, the national sailing organization, or you can download a copy for free from the World Sailing website. That's sailing.org. So the rulebook's divided into 7 parts, being Fundamental Rules, Part 1, When Boats Meet, Part 2, Conduct of a Race, Part 3, Other Requirements While Racing, Part 4, and the list goes on. Our focus today will be Part 2, When Boats Meet. This is the section that contains the right-of-way rules, or how we interact with other boats on the race course. Before we dive right into the rules themselves, we need to cover some important definitions. Now, these definitions come straight from the rulebook itself. The first definition we need to learn is the definition keep clear. I'll read it for you. Boats who do not have right-of-way are required to keep clear of boats who do. A boat is keeping clear if the following are true. A, if the right-of-way boat doesn't need to take avoiding action, and B, if overlapped, the right-of-way boat can change course in both directions without immediately making contact. So try to keep that in your mind for later. The second definition that we need to keep in mind is the definition of overlap, clear ahead, and clear astern. Clear ahead, clear astern, overlap. One boat is clear astern of another when her hull and equipment in normal position are behind a line abeam from the aftermost part of the other boat's hull and equipment in normal position. The other boat is clear ahead. They overlap when neither is clear astern. So I've drawn out a diagram to show what clear ahead, clear astern, and overlap look like. The orange boat is clear ahead, because when we draw that perpendicular line at the transom, or if there was an overhanging rudder, it would be just off of the overhanging rudder, we can see that none of the boats that are behind cross that perpendicular line. The green boat and the blue boat in this picture are overlapped because the perpendicular line at the stern of the green boat intersects right through the side of the blue boat. The magenta boat in the right-hand side of this image is clear astern, and we can tell that because the bow of this boat doesn't come anywhere near the line that's perpendicular with the blue boat, which is the closest boat that's ahead of it. So now, as an activity that I would do with a group in person, I would have you circle the boats that are overlapped with one another. And I'll just move ahead to show you the answer to this slide. So my answer, I say that the green boat and the blue boat are overlapped, and we can tell because the blue boat is crossing that perpendicular line on the green boat. The magenta boat and the blue boat are both overlapped, and we can tell that because the perpendicular line from the stern of the blue boat crosses and touches the magenta boat. The group of boats, the magenta, the orange, and the red boat, are all overlapped with one another because the red boat crosses the orange boat's line and the orange boat crosses the magenta boat's line. And because the red boat and the magenta boat have the orange boat caught in between them, all three are overlapped. Lastly, the magenta boat and the yellow boat are overlapped, and we can tell this because if we draw a line perpendicular to the stern of the yellow boat, it extends all the way out and crosses through the magenta boat. So we would say that the magenta boat and the yellow boat are overlapped. You might wonder why the blue boat is not also overlapped through the magenta boat back to the yellow boat. And the reason for that is because the magenta boat is well outside of the blue boat and the yellow boat. So I spotted 4 groups. You can let me know in the comments below if you think I missed any in this diagram. The next definition that we need to learn is the definition of the windward and leeward sides. A boat's leeward side is the side that is, or when she is head to wind, was away from the wind. However, when sailing by the lee or directly downwind, her leeward side is the side on which her mainsail lies. The other side is her windward side. So here we have another definition of windward and leeward boats. When 2 boats on the same tack overlap, the one on the leeward side of the other is the leeward boat. The other is the windward boat. Circle the windward boat in both sets below. So what we can see is that the green boat is most certainly the windward boat in the green-orange situation, and that's because the windward side of the orange boat is facing the green boat, and the leeward side of the green boat is facing the orange boat. The red boat is the windward boat in the red-brown situation. And this is a little bit of a tricky one because this boat's sailing by the lee. But what we know is that the leeward side of this red boat is the side that the mainsail lies on. And the windward side of the brown boat is the side that the wind crosses first. So the leeward side of the red boat is facing the windward side of the brown boat. We would say that the red boat is the windward boat in this situation. We have a definition of port and starboard tack. So this is a reminder that as we face forwards in the boat, the port tack is on the left side of the boat and the starboard tack is on the right side of the boat. We have a definition of port and starboard tack. A boat is on the tack, starboard or port, corresponding to her windward side. And we're asked, circle the boats on starboard tack in green and the boats on port tack in red. So you can see below that the red boat, the brown boat, the yellow boat, and the blue boat are all on starboard tack because their windward side is the starboard side of their boat. The purple boat, the green boat, and the orange boat are all on port tack because their port side is the windward side of their boat. So now we can talk about the first 4 rules in Part 2, Section A, right of way. First one that we're talking about is rule number 10 in the rule book, and it's called on opposite tacks. The second one is rule 11. We call that on the same tack overlapped. The third one, rule 10, on the same tack not overlapped. And the fourth one, rule 13, while tacking. A word of caution, I just gave you the official names and rule numbers of the rules. You're going to want to make note of rule numbers and avoid nicknaming the rules if you're ever involved in a protest or a rule infringement situation on the water. So rule 10, on opposite tacks. When boats are on opposite tacks, a port tack boat shall keep clear of a starboard tack boat. And what that means is that the blue boat in this situation, who's on port tack, does not have right of way and needs to keep clear of the green boat so that she does not need to alter her course. This rule is commonly referred to as starboard over port. Rule 11, on the same tack overlapped. When boats are on the same tack and overlapped, a windward boat shall keep clear of a leeward boat. So in this situation, the purple boat, being the windward boat, needs to keep clear of the orange boat, the leeward boat. This rule is commonly referred to as leeward over windward. Rule 12, on the same tack, not overlapped. When boats are on the same tack and not overlapped, a boat clear astern shall keep clear of a boat clear ahead. What that means is that in this situation between the brown and the yellow boat needs to keep clear so that she does not make contact with the brown boat. This is commonly referred to as overtaking boat keeps clear. Now, our final of those first four rules, Rule 12, on the same tack, not overlapped. After a boat passes head to wind, she shall keep clear of other boats until she is on a close-hauled course. During that time, Rules 10, 11, and 12 do not apply. If two boats are subject to the rule at the same time, the one on the other's port side or the one astern shall keep clear. So in this situation, because the red boat is head to wind while tacking, she needs to keep clear of the blue boat who is just sailing along on a close-hauled course. So here we have a rules situation that's unfolding in front of us. We'll watch it, and then we'll determine which rule is being broken. I'll let you see it one more time. So in this situation, the rule that's being broken is on the same tack overlapped. And the reason for that is, as we can see in the video, Robertson establishes overlap from behind, begins to head up, and as they head up, Gilmore, who's to windward, fails to keep clear. So here we have another rules situation. Which rule's being broken in each of these videos that unfolds? Here we can see a collision. Here we can see a collision. Here we can see a collision. And in all three of those situations, the rule that was being broken is on opposite tacks, because in each of those situations, one of the boats involved was on port, and one of the boats that involved was on starboard tack. Here we have a third situation, and the question is, which of the rules is being broken? So what we can see is that Robertson is clear astern of Gilmore. Robertson's gaining on Gilmore, and Robertson is coming closer and closer. And what we can see is if there was contact between Robertson and Gilmore in this situation, the rule that would be broken is on the same tack overlapped. And we can see that happen right now. So here's a summary of those four rules. We have on opposite tacks, where the blue boat on port keeps clear of the green boat on starboard. We have on the same tack overlapped, where the purple boat to windward keeps clear of the orange boat to leeward. We have on the same tack not overlapped, where the yellow boat, who's clear astern, keeps clear of the brown boat, who's clear ahead. And we have while tacking, where the red boat, who is passing head to wind, must keep clear and must not make the blue boat sail above her close-hauled course. So now we have a new definition. It's called proper course. Proper course is defined as a course a boat would sail to finish as soon as possible in the absence of the other boats referred to in the rule using the term. A boat has no proper course before her starting signal. We need that definition because it's used right away in this rule, rule number 17. Rule number 17 says, if a boat clear astern becomes overlapped within 2 of her hull lengths to leeward of a boat on the same tack, she shall not sail above her proper course while they remain on the same tack and overlapped within that distance, unless in doing so she promptly sails astern of the other boat. This rule does not apply if the overlap begins while the windward boat is required by Rule 13 to keep clear. So now I have a question for you, and it's, what is the difference between situation A and situation B with respect to the rules? So we'll let these animations play a couple times so that everybody can see them. Okay, and the answer is that in situation B, because the green boat jibes, Rule 17 on the same tack proper course would not be in effect. That's because as the two boats become overlapped, they're not overlapped on the same tack. So therefore, the green boat may sail above her proper course to luff the magenta boat. So the next thing that we have to learn about actually comes from Part 3 of the rules, Conduct of a Race, and it's Rule 26, Starting Races. There's a start sequence to starting races that we refer to as 5, 4, 1, go. And there's an animation playing on the screen in front of us that explains this starting sequence to us. So we'll wait for it to start again, and I'll narrate it as it happens. So the very first thing that happens 5 minutes before the starting signal. 5 minutes before, we have what's called our warning signal, and it's usually a class flag like the laser flag, although it could be a numeral pennant. At 4 minutes, another signal happens called the preparatory signal, usually the P flag, but it can also be the I, Z, Z plus I, or U flag, depending on what penalties are involved. At 1 minute, the preparatory flag goes down with a horn. And finally, at go, the class flag comes down and we have a starting gun. So once again, I'll go through those signals. At 5 minutes, the class flag goes up with a gun. At 4 minutes, the preparatory flag goes up with a gun. At 1 minute, the preparatory flag comes down with a horn. And lastly, at 0 minutes, the class flag goes down with a gun and the race begins. I want you to know that the racing rules of sailing are in effect from 4 minutes, from the preparatory signal until a boat finishes the race. So this concludes our brief chat about the racing rules of sailing. If you have any questions about this content, please feel free to post them in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.